world gone insane. An upside-down civilization cannot be real. A world of madness and terror.
It's the Dana Gould Hour.
Ah, Los Angeles. The sun is out, the trees are green, coyotes are eating garbage, shifty-looking kids are milling about with nothing to do, and homeless schizophrenics are heaving empty soda cans at pretty girls on bikes. It can mean only one thing. It's summer. And welcome to the new episode of the Dana Gould Hour. Today, the show is entitled, You Can't Say That, because I want to explore the idea of what you can say, what you can't say, and what you should really go out of your way to say. Eddie Pepitone, the Bitter Buddha himself, is here. You can follow Eddie on the Twitter at Eddie Pepitone. EDDIEPEPITONE. If you have yet to see Eddie perform live, please put it on your to-do list, and then you can put it on your I've done it and want to do it again list. Arden Myrin, she of at Arden Myrin, ARDENMYRIN, on the Twitter. Arden is a regular guest on Chelsea Lately and has appeared on Comedy Central's At Midnight over 726,000 times. Arden and I also have a monthly show at the Nerd Melt Showroom in L.A. called The Tinkle Twins. Come on and see it, won't you? Shadi Petosky is also here. Shadi was on Yo Gabba Gabba, and you can follow her on at Shadi Petosky, SHADIPETOSKY, on the Twitter. As well as comedian Will Weldon, he of at Old Man Weldon. John Ennis is here as well. He brought along his very good friend, Robbie Sullivan. Me, I'm still at Dana J. Gould, because at Dana Gould used his Twitter handle 9 times 11 years ago, and Twitter won't release it. I don't have a lot of national tour dates this summer as I'm busy writing something, but I'm always going up here in beautiful LA. Lastly, one nugget we'd like to share is that Bevilacqua Heating and Air Conditioning t-shirts are here. Why not head on down to comedyfilmnerds.com and check out the shop? $20 gets you a shirt. I think there's stickers too. Just buy it. Lastly, but not leastly, the show today is brought to you by Harry's Shaving Kits. Please visit harrys.com, HARRYS.com. Use the promo code DANA for $5 off your first purchase. I use them. And now, let's get a little podcasting. My guest today at the Algonquin Round Table of Disappointment, the Mount Olympus of personal and professional angst. We are to swallowed feelings what the Olympics are to matching tracksuits.
Push it down, down, down.
Down, down, down. The lovely and talented Edward Pepitone.
Hello, everybody. Listen, keep going. Keep going. If I can keep going, you can keep going.
I can't keep going.
Not you, Arden. Arden, that wasn't meant for you.
And also,
I'm gonna keep going.
On the show, one of the original Super Friends, Arden Myrin.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I am 78 years old, and it's wonderful.
The view from Mount Olympus is horrific.
It's burning.
Awful.
It's burning. It's not pretty inside my own head either.
It's like that Chinese smog that they talk about in China.
I hear that's terrible.
No.
My brother went. He said it's awful.
And pilots are moving over there now. Pilot season is moving to these brutal, brutal towns. So you don't want to get a pilot.
I have to tell you, having spent 3 separate summers in China in 2003, 2005, and 2010.
You were there as late as 2010. For those of you scoring at home.
The air, it's like, it's the dirty version of opening up the dishwasher mid-cycle. It's just like that steam.
But it's gotten worse, too, hasn't it?
Yeah, because it's just the pollution is metastasizing.
I want to be a foreman who just walks up and down one of the streets where people are working and go, put those fucking iPhones together, or I swear to Christ, I swear as I'm standing here now, if you don't have that iPhone together by 2
I can't believe that is not your job. How is that?
should do
how
that.
Have you not moved it? You were born to do that.
Now, you raise a great point, Ed.
Edward.
We all know that our iPhones are built by slaves, ostensibly, and yet we use them. At what point do you draw the line? I was talking about this. Friend of mine works at an animal shelter.
Oh boy! Now you've hit home with me.
This
is my cause. I think
for dogs. You hate dogs. You love cats. You want all dogs dead. I know you.
I have a dog. That's my life now.
I can tell.
I just adopted 2 cats from the Sante Door Animal Shelter. I adopted an 11-year-old.
That's sweet. Most people don't adopt the old ones.
No, I know.
They're like, it's going to die.
Look,
That's what I thought.
let me just
this poor
interrupt.
old lady spent her whole life in the shelter. I got to bring her home with me.
Let me say one thing. I can tell by looking into all 4 of your eyeballs
yes.
that you are just biding your time until I'm not paying attention, and then you're going to pee on me. I know what your plan is.
Oh, I've been planning that since I met you. It's why I'm always lifting up a leg when I'm near you.
Cut from the Declaration of Independence.
On
At the end of
when you didn't know about it.
the end of the Declaration of Independence. P.S. Everybody in this room wants to pee on me, George Washington. So this person,
Animal shelter.
Yeah, works in a dog rescue shelter, and it's their whole life, and they are furious about unspaded dogs, unneutered dogs.
By the way,
and
that's the
that's
thing.
completely valid and
It is.
But okay, so you're going to concentrate on that and completely ignore the Nigerian schoolgirls. And completely ignore.
But wouldn't it be funny?
Spotted owls.
How about this, though? How about this? Because I have realized that, because I have gotten into like animal causes too, is you have to step back because you can get so enraged that it consumes you and you're no longer fun at cocktail parties.
Right.
Like, I love being fun at cocktail parties. Like, hey, that's a lovely dress. When you're obsessed with like animal rights, you're like, you motherfucker.
I am just picturing you in a very preppy, like I'm picturing you in like pants with whales on them and a pink like Nantucket blazer at cocktail party.
You look like you're
just
like,
killing it at a cocktail party.
Killing it.
You're killing it with a gin and tonic, just wowing.
You know, that was the life I think I was meant to have, and instead of Nantucket, it's, Staten Island and fear in the corner.
See, here's what
sipping.
Do you kill it at a cocktail party?
No, not anymore.
You're dressed like Murray Hamilton in Jaws, the mayor of Amity. You've got the blazer with the anchors on it.
Yes.
White pants.
Don't you see
and
that?
A club tie.
A picture with a pipe.
You're at an orgy, and everybody else is having sex on the floor naked, and you're just walking around, complete yachting outfit. Everybody having a good time? Everybody
having a good
time. Finish those iPhone headphones. You can just go back to the dictator, but instead of being in China, you're going to be in Nantucket.
Everybody got a partner?
Yeah, partner up.
Partner up.
Partner
it's like we're going on a field trip. Our genitals are going on a field trip to the Worcester Science Center.
Get their noodle buddy. Put your hand on your noodle buddy.
I would have to be asexual to do that. Anyway, I did spend a summer in Nantucket, and I loved it.
I grew up in a town like Nantucket.
I like Nantucket more than the Vineyard.
Yeah, me too, because it's less.
By the way, it's stories like that give me such a tremendous urban following.
Vineyard, Nantucket. Which one should we do? Vineyard, Nantucket.
So relatable.
Spike Lee lives on Martha's Vineyard, by the way.
Does he?
Yep.
By the way,
street.
I haven't done the Vineyard in so long.
Main Street of Chatham.
Is it too what on the Vineyard? You said you like
Nantucket is a little more
less developed.
Yeah, I grew up in a town like Nantucket which is even less developed. I did, but year round.
Was it Massachusetts? Where were you?
In Rhode Island, Little Compton, Rhode Island. Straight out of Compton, you guys. Straight out of Little Compton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Little Compton.
You can be very dedicated to a cause.
Yeah.
That justifies continuous dedication and results in day-long outrage. But you can't be that upset about every cause.
Right. I think it would be funny to be upset about everything.
Just everything.
Like just walking around going,
everything.
The Malaysian authorities just poo-pooed this lost plane. I always picture it happening in a deli. Like I would love to just yell at people coming into a deli.
Yes.
In New York. Okay. Old delis in New York just going, hey, so this is what my dad used to do. He quit smoking cigarettes, and then he'd be in a store, and someone would order a pack of cigarettes, and he would go, good luck with that, pal. He had quit for about a week.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, pal. Yeah. So self-righteous.
I like that.
It's unbelievable. Well, I remember once I was on stage in Minneapolis, and I used to do a thing at the end of my act where where I did a parody of a Morrissey song called Clown Fucker. In fact, I'll play it right here.
She awoke in the morning and to no surprise, the man of last night had fled. Stains of white grease paint on a body that ran from her toes to the top of her head. The alarm stung her ear, she rolled over to spy, much to her chagrin and her dread. A crumpled red nose and 2 oversized shoes strewn by the side of the bed. Clown fucker, that's what they said. Clown fucker, that's what they said. No, never fuck a clown, dear. That's what Mommy said. Never fuck a clown, dear. That's what Mommy said. She went to the bar and she started to drink. She drank and got drunk. She walked up to him and said, "How could you leave?" But all he could do was honk. She knew it was over, it sunk in just then. It was time to say it's the end. He walked out the door and stepped into a car with 48 of his friends. Everybody! Oh, that's what they said. That's just what they said. All right, alcoholics only. Adult survivors of incest on this side of the room. Hey, thank you very much for coming along. I'll see you next time.
So I used to end the shows with that.
Right.
And as you can hear in that clip, into the refrain I would go, alcoholics only. Da-da-da. Adult survivors of incest on this side of the room. So I finish the show, I walk off stage, and there's a woman with a hearing aid, from World War One. It's like a
like a horn.
Yeah, like a walkie-talkie, and her 4
a conch shell
teenage daughters, and they're all crying. The woman looks at me as I'm walking into the green room. She goes, and she's deaf as a haddock, and she goes, "How dare you? All of my daughters were insulted by your father." Oh! And I'm just poleaxed. And the girl looks at me, and, I still remember it. And she's looking at me, she goes, "Thanks for ruining my birthday."
Oh, my God. Now, the only way you could do that is to come back at them yelling and saying things like, "What are you doing in a comedy club? You should be getting help."
Yeah.
And all of the daughters, didn't you leave after the first one?
Yeah.
There you
Isn't
go.
that on you?
There you go.
That's on you.
Yeah, now that's a great point. That's a great point.
The deafness helps.
Oh, that's a great point. That the comedian in that moment gets blamed for these people's lives. Like, we didn't fucking do it.
Hey, ladies, maybe when Uncle Donnie went at your first one in the shed, perhaps that was a sign to take your conch shell hearing aid and get the other 3 out of there.
You know what? It might have been a little sign when your first daughter came back in the house and said, "Dad just fucked me." That might have been a sign.
No, but the comedian gets blamed for their lives.
Right. And by saying that joke, this is what it boils down to. By saying that joke, am I making fun of people who are victims?
No.
No,
you're not.
Am I tacitly acknowledging? Am I responsible for the pain? Am I an insensitive,
would be no
horrible person?
If there were not parents that were alcoholics or people that were molested, there would be no comedians.
That's true.
That's another great point.
Right. But it's just,
I'm so glad I'm here and hearing this stuff.
It's at a certain point, you have to say it's a joke. Now, I'm not saying that this was appropriate.
I agree.
I would do that joke today.
Come on, I have the saddest life there is, and all I do is laugh about it. It's true. Hey, now that pisses me off. No, but the way you were doing it, what you just described, if indeed that's what you were doing, and I know you embellish things in your favor, but if you really were doing what you just said,
funny.
Then they did not have a sense of humor about it. You were not attacking them. You were not attacking.
No,
if
I
you
was not attacking
If you
them.
would have said, "Hey, are there any innocent children here that I can fuck?"
Well,
or something like.
If
I'm
Dana
sorry
Gould,
about that.
if you told any of the stories of your childhood, it's not like you're at Kennedy or like coming from Nantucket, like talking about your cocktail. It's like you've probably shared some hard stuff that you'd been through. You're allowed to make some jokes.
Here's what that joke is about.
Good, because I did not get it.
That
not a bit.
the point of this joke is that these people exist, and it would be profoundly inappropriate to single them out as a specific group during a sing-along.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's the joke. And it's
Yes, it is hilarious.
So what happened is I mentioned something that affected you negatively. And so do I have to take the heat on that?
No,
I'm saying being rhetorical.
No,
Clearly,
but we're answering.
I talked about a plane crash once, and somebody was like, I knew somebody that died in a plane crash, and I said, so?
You did say that.
Do you have to fill out a form before you go into the club? Let me make sure that nothing here affects anyone
by the way,
negatively.
this does fuck me up as a stand-up, because if I get into that head of like, wait a minute, am I being sensitive or not? I can't perform because then you're like,
I know.
okay.
As a female, like I just did Salt Lake City, and like everybody there was Mormon, and everybody
in Salt Lake City,
and everybody was very polite.
How the fuck does that happen? Go ahead.
And
the guy who knows nothing about Utah.
I got in my head of like, oh, the little blonde girl's she's being a little naughty. That's not polite. By the way, who wants to see a polite comic?
You're being scandalous.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like
by the way, would that be a great character, or has it been done? The super duper polite who absolutely is so nice to everybody.
The most polite stand-up.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of people who are popular are insensitive pieces of shit.
Sure.
But they're accepted by the mainstream, who has all gotten together and said, it's okay to fucking make fun of this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
You know? Misogyny is just fucking de rigueur.
I'm going to tell you.
Not to talk French that I've been to Paris.
No, it's so rare. I feel like the guys I hang out with don't do like women-hating jokes. And when I hear them, if I'm like flying on the plane and I'm on Comedy Central and I'll see some guys who have, specials, it's like, and the crowd is going crazy. It's like, that is really creepy. Like it's super creepy. I'm not into that. There's a lot of guys that are really popular with that right now.
In its cultural things, I think that, as I said, I think that African-American comics get away with a lot more than white male comics. And that was the thing that I went through.
That's true. And I don't like them for that. I get so angry.
I get jealous. I get jealous.
Very funny writer, not only worked on Yo Gabba Gabba and the Aquabats, but blogger of wide-ranging repute. Shadi Petosky is here.
This is the sound of my voice.
And a really funny comedian who I've been wanting to have on for a while. You can follow him on Twitter. I highly recommend it at Old Man Weldon. Will Weldon is here.
This is the sound of my voice.
Will is not from America.
No, I know. Scandal.
Will is from Canada.
Right.
Which is to America what that little tiny laughing thing was on Jabba the Hutt's shoulder. I believe its name was Salacious Crumb.
It was Salacious
Ladies.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons that I was really happy to have both of you on the show. A couple of months ago, I was in the California Chicken Cafe in Venice, California. I don't want to brag, and I don't want you to treat me any differently. And I saw Alexis Arquette, who is now Alexis, but used to be...
Doesn't matter. Just Alexis Arquette.
Alex Arquette? No, I know. It does matter. For the people who don't know.
Oh, a trans woman.
Yes, a trans woman.
Alexis Arquette.
Right. And was in Pulp Fiction.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
It does matter.
So, saw Alexis Arquette. And a couple of weeks later, I was on Jonah Radio and made some snide comment about Alexis Arquette. Not even thinking. Literally, it was like 12:30 at night, tired, not even thinking. Made a dumb joke about, I don't know if that surgery makes you, changes your gender or just turns you into a really fucked up looking dude. Didn't even think about it. What I didn't realize at the time was what I said in just a simple sentence was invalidate thousands of people's entire existence. That was pointed out to me. And Shadi was one of the more reasoned people that said, here's why this is wrong. and not just thinking I was a Nazi. And Shadi quoted me a joke that you had done. And do you know the joke that I'm even talking about, Will?
Yeah. The joke is about how in a lot of like movies and TV shows that are comedies, and there'll be a scene where a dude is making out with a girl at a bar, and then he finds out that she used to be a man. So then they cut to him throwing up in a toilet, and he's all disgusted, and he goes, I cannot believe that girl I made out with used to be a man. But it's like, then what is the problem? Like, if you literally cannot believe that she used to be a man, what are you so upset about? We all used to be children. But that doesn't make you a pedophile if you fuck someone who was not birthed an adult.
Oh, that's hilarious. It actually does. But it's really interesting is there's this sort of weird belief that it's just a joke, doesn't work anymore. You know, you can say anything. I'm an equal opportunity offender. That's bullshit. You can't, like, I make fun of everybody, the people that have all the defenses at their disposal and the utterly indefensible. Then you shouldn't make fun of them. And I was talking to Kelly Carlin the other day about one of the rules that her father had when he was working was he never took on the weak and powerless. He only took on the strong and powerful, which is a great way to, which is a great line. And I think that I failed and you succeeded.
Well, and succeeded in a really important way for me as a trans person.
What?
Surprise, guys! Now you can vomit.
Cut to
no, I'm visibly trans. You know, everyone knows that I'm trans. So it's not.
I don't see it.
I don't see gender.
I don't see gender.
I'm beyond gender.
I don't see gender.
I
just see someone who's white.
You're so evolved. You're truly that. Well, okay, so I had an androgen puberty, so it means I'm big and I have, broad shoulders and I have the more.
You had a what?
A male puberty. I had. So in the trans world, I'm on hormones, so I'm changing my sex to hormones. Had I done that when I was 12, if that would have been available to me, you would truly not know because I would have developed sex characteristics.
Oh, okay. So there's a tipping point where during puberty your hormones sort of design the architecture for your body for the rest of your life.
Right, and that's at birth too. The reason you have a penis or have a vagina is hormones. Hormones do everything.
I have it to bring shame.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure.
And to meet people.
Well, I guess I'm trans, and I like comedy, and I've gone to a lot of comedy shows, and when I heard Will tell that joke, aw, thank you. I heard Will tell that joke at the Riot Festival downtown, and it was at the Downtown Independent, and it was full of people. A couple hundred people fit into that theater. It was packed for the festival, and I've a million times been at a comedy show, and somebody's just like, oh, tranny this, tranny that, and felt like shit, and just like, oh, they're making fun of me, and I'm not going to heckle them. I'm not going to. I've wanted to just storm the stage before and just put them down and just change the feeling that room had. But Will told that joke. And the crowd erupted. It felt standing ovation-y, and everyone was clapping so loud, and they just loved that joke. And I have been to trans pride conferences and powwow type events for trans pride, and I started crying, and I'd never felt that like a more sense of connection and community and me being okay with my weird brain and my transness than in that event, in that riot thing. So that mattered so much to have a straight white dude from Canada, I guess.
So you're not perfect.
Yeah. Extra racist, I think, is what I meant by that. Extra bigoted, just completely.
Yeah. It's impossible to know black people when there are only 7 in your entire country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine Toronto has plenty.
Yeah, I know.
Of people. Okay, I don't know if you know about here.
No. Many of them are holograms to make American tourists feel more comfortable.
So
it's the same way they have black people in Toronto. In the same way, when you get tech support from someone in Bangalore, they say their name is Craig. It's not really Craig. Yeah. They're just there to make you feel.
Or when you go to the Grove in the winter around Christmas, sometimes they have fake snow.
Yeah,
so the tourists feel at home.
But Will's story was really important, and we're used to hearing those kind of things, and it was empowering and great.
It is interesting how
changed my relationship with LA, I think.
Oh, well, that's incredibly positive. It is funny because what you do when you do that is you steer people's thinking. It's like, oh, yeah, I can look at it that way. That is a better way to look at it. You know, Lenny Bruce in the early 60s really changed people's minds about issues like that simply by pointing out the ludicrousness of that. A joke that is the grandfather to the joke that you told was, guys would say I would never sleep with a black woman. Okay, well, you can sleep with a black woman or a white woman. It's Kate Smith or Lena Horne. In 1961, that was like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And also saying things that at the time people didn't understand was not racist. You know, the bit How to Relax Your Colored Friends at Parties was a bit about whites trying to befriend African Americans in social situations, but being incredibly condescending as they do it.
At Bojangles, Christ could he tap dance. Oh, you tap dance all yourself, huh? Yeah. All you people can tap dance, I guess. You people have a natural sense of rhythm. What's that? Born right in you, I guess, huh? Yeah, boy. The way I figure it is, no matter what the hell a guy is, if he stays in his place, he's all right. That's the way I look at it.
You know, what is cool changes? I was talking to you about this earlier. Eddie Murphy's Raw.
Yeah.
You could not release that movie today. It's only 1987. It's not that long ago. I remember when it came out. Yeah, I remember when it came out. And you can't do a 90-minute major motion picture about how much you are afraid of gay people. Delirious, his first concert, is hilarious.
Right.
I find it. I actually saw it live.
What's the one with him in a leather?
That's Delirious.
I mean, is that the one with Boogie in the Butt and I'm Cold?
Well, that was his first album, and that I don't think that's on video. But
I'm Cold, baby. What time is it?
Yeah, that's the first album. Delirious.
It's his grandma.
Was the summer of '83. I saw it live. It's so funny. And then Raw, the material wasn't there, but it's just how afraid he is of gay people. And you could make jokes about gay people.
Yeah.
Even the most progressive comedians in the world, Lenny Bruce has been Less Than High. The guy that really was taking on stuff. It was just like, we make fun of these guys. We don't make fun of that. You can't make fun of black people. You can make fun of gay guys.
Right.
Then there came a time as society moved along where people go, you know what? You can't do that anymore. Very recently. And it changes on a dime. And then you could still make fun of how homophobic you were. Like going to prison, don't drop the soap. Really, it was Tracy Morgan, I think, 3 years ago, and people just said, you know what? That's not cool anymore either.
Recently, I saw a couple of older comics do some homophobic stuff that the crowd just turned off.
I think it's so interesting.
Oh, they did?
And
was it funny, though?
It was funny. It was funny. If it had been 20 years ago, it was well written. It was funny, and the crowd just could not.
Where was this?
It was in Santa Monica at
the West Olympic Joe Schmo.
Yeah, but it was a
Santa Monica comedy show.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore.
Can't do that anymore.
The crowd turned off.
But Eddie Murphy's popularity was super big. And sometimes when you're super, super big, you get away with doing some shit.
Sure,
because you've been so accepted. Like people need a fucking hero from the hero of the month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was Murphy back then for a while.
He was
the it guy.
He was so awesome.
I lost interest in him when he started to be the romantic lead.
Oh yeah,
I was
I just rewatched Trading Places, and he was so good in that when he was like the homeless guy on the dragon.
Yeah. He's amazing. I have said this before. Like Nutty Professor and the Clumps, he should have gotten an Academy Award nomination.
You love that. I didn't even check that out.
I went with Rob Cohen to the Clumps. We went and saw it. Yeah,
is that when he's always in fat suits?
Yeah.
And shit?
I feel like we walked out of the Clumps.
I not only did not walk out of the Clumps, I paid to see and thoroughly enjoyed Norbit.
I enjoyed the Clumps, and I paid to see. I went to Norbit. With
How you doing? Think about it, though. He does an entire family at a table. Every single character
He's hilarious.
Is utterly specific, completely defined. completely hilarious. It's a lot easier fucking said than done. Yeah, you want to see it done not well? Anything with Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
Here's something else. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. Easier said than done, Mr. McCartney. Easier said than done.
I've never heard that lyric related to Norbit.
I have to tell you, my mind just...
Well, strap in.
My mind just got blown. I actually but there's a marble rattling around in my skull right now.
Well, I always have a couple rattling around. I can make some good points, but then the marbles kick in.
The racist straw man is always a good... Y'all motherfuckers be thinking, what am I doing? No, I wasn't thinking that at all. No. Yeah. It's only bested by Don Rickles, who's still so... I'm sitting up here, there's two Mexicans in the back waiting for a truck to show up.
Is he alive?
He's alive and still performing. And well worth seeing. I love Don Rickles. And he also does stuff that it doesn't even make sense. Because I got a great air conditioning system here. 2 fags on the roof with a piece of loose leaf paper going... We're just like looking at each other going, what the fuck is he even saying? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
When he was on Kimmel, he was like ragging on some lady with her daughter in the crowd, and it was like an older black lady and her daughter. And the older lady's laughing, and the daughter is like, what?
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
The daughter is horrified.
It's like baffled.
I don't think necessarily that Eddie Murphy hates gay people, but at a certain point you go like, yeah, I'm making a joke, and okay, I guess I shouldn't have done that. Is it terrible that I referenced incest? Well, it depends on the context of it. People say rape jokes are never funny. Yeah, they are. Some are. Mine is.
I'll tell you, Sarah Silverman really writes some good ones. Over the years, she really mastered it so that when the people...
But she's a woman doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a certain thing, like, why do people make those jokes? Because people are innately attracted to the things that they're told not to think or talk about.
Right.
Anything sexual, it just makes it all the more unable to resist. Death by Chi-Chi, a world-famous joke based on anal rape. You know the one about the guys on the island? Yes,
Death
you know
by
this
Chi-Chi.
joke. You know this joke.
Chi-Chi.
No, but
Death by Boompa?
No.
It has many forms.
No.
3 explorers are on an island. They find a native tribe. They're caught and captured by the native tribe. The chief of the native tribe goes, death or Chi-Chi? And the guy goes, Chi-Chi. And they throw him over a log and they rape him anally horribly. Then they go to the second one and they go, death or Chi-Chi? And the guy goes, I can't, Chi-Chi. And they throw him over the log and they rape him horribly. And then they go to the third guy and they're death or Chi-Chi? And the guy goes, fuck this, I'll take death. And the guy goes, death by Chi-Chi. Like, how do you not know that joke?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That joke is, you know that joke, Jeff. Yeah. Shut up!
I've never heard that.
You've never heard that
I feel
joke?
like you hang around with weird people.
Oh,
yeah,
my
Dana,
God.
who are you hanging out with?
I hang out with the anal raping native tribe. Clearly. Wow.
So you pick Chi-Chi.
I pick Chi-Chi.
When Jared Leto won the Academy Award, which I think he won because people were trying to do the right thing.
Oh, so brave.
It's the best actor for the role. It's like, we don't get to... If I want to act, I don't get to do that. Like, I don't get to be in a toothpaste commercial.
I don't think the Jared Leto thing is a negative. I think it might not be a full positive, but when you look at people like my mother, who trans people to her are something you'd see in a sideshow. Uh-huh. You know, she's 81 and she is just watches Fox News. And so what you're seeing is a sympathetic depiction of a trans individual who's a real person, who's something other than a punchline. People often said, like, they made the reference to Hattie McDaniel in Gone with the Wind. Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing now, but can you show me any other African-American role in a movie from 1939 that isn't them holding a tray and having no sense of humanity about them at all? You can say that these things are going to come incrementally, and that the fact that a trans person was portrayed as a sensitive human being with needs and feelings is ostensibly a positive.
But this feels like it goes back to the kind of hedging of the like, we'll just wait. You got to wait, and you got to take it slow. And it's like, that's all fine if you're not from that group. But like,
and by the way, and it's not new. I mean, go watch any Western from the 50s or 60s.
Oh boy.
And it's just filled with Jews and Italians wearing black wigs playing Indians. It's just like...
And the same thing with trans people. It's like, oh, well, this is like the sensitive portrayal. It's like, it was just a hopeless...
I didn't see the movie.
Oh, okay. Hopeless...
I didn't see it either.
I would never see that film.
Drug-addicted person who died and was there, like, ahistorically written just to make the straight guy look good. The role had gone to a trans person. Trans kids, which exist, would be like, oh, I can, like, that's great. Like, we can do cool things, you know? And we're seeing that with Laverne Cox from Orange is the New Black.
At a certain point, like, people are attracted to talk about those things. It's, especially with comedy, you're not supposed to talk about things. All the more reason to talk about that thing. I try not to get too furious about social things because I know in the grand scheme of things, the arc of the universe bends towards justice. I mean, just look at the change in gay marriage. It's like 44 states now, I think. And it happens so quickly. I think you just reach a point culturally where people's attitudes change and it just sort of metastasizes. But they wanted to take the word nigger out of Huckleberry Finn in public libraries. And that was obscene because the whole point of the stupidity of the word. But the whole point...
I like your arm tattoo.
The book is about the stupidity of that word. It's unbelievable. Working hard to make liberals conservatives. And the fact that I was born a white male, not my problem. It doesn't mean I'm not allowed to comment on anything. Yes, right. I got it fucking great. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, do you ever do in colleges now? You can see the kids are so nervous to laugh about anything at all that's remotely, sassy at all. Like they are.
That's sad to me.
Yeah,
that's sad. And did the college? Because I haven't done colleges in so long. Do they tell you can't do this topic?
No, they all seem like, oh no, we're cool with it. But then they're just like nervous, like. I mean, it's not even like I have the raciest, but it's like. Yeah, it's an interesting...
Well, again, it's not the topic. It's the context of the topic. It's like, here's my rape joke. Any whistle can be a rape whistle, except maybe a slide whistle.
That's hilarious.
I love that one.
You can't
because I'm a fan of slide music, and that's where you get me.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like, I've always loved slide music. I have satellite radio just for slide music.
I'm a fan of Philip Sousa marching songs.
Oh, that's good, too, I think.
But you can't equate that to what Daniel Tosh said. It's like, wouldn't it be funny if you got raped? No, well, you can't equate that with a joke, period.
Also, I think you can bring up these topics, but you also have to kind of establish that you are a very flawed person and your life has been fraught with a lot of stuff and pain, and that you're coming from this place of understanding that to be human is hard. Mm-hmm. And you have to kind of establish that, where a lot of comics, we were talking about a couple of them, they're just almost inhuman. It's like, it's just this, it's from on high, like speaking about this shit from on high. And I could see people getting offended at that, when they think this person is just being so insensitive.
Well, there are two things. One, I don't understand tough guy comedy.
Yeah.
The comedy is supposed to be, it's based to me in vulnerability. And the whole nature of it's the court jester that can point out that the king is flawed. It's like...
Because the court jester, look at him.
Yeah, to the court jester, exactly.
And, look at all of us.
But I also hate... My other thing is...
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
I hate fake outrage at... Starbucks! Oh, please. Gosh, I hate double stick tape! All right.
But not talking about his own life.
Or anything real. Or just like, double stick tape, yeah, it's cute. I don't believe you're angry about it.
Trans people have been in the media massively since the 50s. We weren't in the sideshow, like with who's the person in the 50s that was so famous for having the sex change? Not Renee Richards. But,
Jorgen.
Jorgensen.
Christine Jorgensen.
Christine Jorgensen, right. I know my history. So Chris and Renee Richards.
GLEN or GLENDA.
Yeah, and all of, like, it's not changed. So, like, in my entire lifetime, I haven't seen that much of a difference for how trans people are portrayed in media. There's Laverne Cox, which is great, but otherwise, it's kind of the same as when I was watching Jerry Springer when I was a kid.
Well, Laverne Cox was the woman that was on Piers Morgan? Who was on Piers Morgan?
That was Janet Mock.
Okay,
an author, not an actress.
She went on Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan said some things in his attempt to be polite, was really offended by. And I think for people that weren't educated as somebody that I have never burdened myself with the issues of the trans community.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Thanks for making that investment, because most people don't. And when that came out, it might have felt like a tipping point to some, but they immediately had a panel where they're like, she's lunatic, she's crazy. Look, and if you read the comments or see how people are acting,
you can never read comments about anything.
Oh, I know.
I would love the comments on the 10 Commandments. Some of these are very fucking repetitive. It's bullshit. I see Piers Morgan as somebody that meant well, but was not educated to the things he said about, like, of course you're so beautiful, who would know? And again, so as long as they're visually acceptable to you, this is okay. And I get that, but that had to be explained to me by you at a birthday party. It's the reason that Obama never loses his shit. You never see him lose his shit, because for people who mean well but don't know, I thought the way that she handled it turned off a lot of people to her very understandable message.
And that's intentional. And that comes from, like, feminists like bell hooks we have to be a little more uppity about this stuff, frankly, because trans people have been pretty cool with everything for a long time. Like, trans people have been pretty
I disagree.
Quietly, like, okay, you know what? I just want to be accepted. When you saw any trans actress before Laverne Cox, it was very much like, well, I just want you to understand. And it's what you're kind of, I think you're talking about is this sort of tonal argument where it's like, as long as you act the way I want you to act about this.
I think what she was saying was, this piece of shit, XYZ PDQ. And, I can't believe I had to sit and listen to this. I don't remember. I don't have what she said.
Yeah. I think the big thing she said was, get your shit together.
Right. It's always, I think, and I do this when I talk about politics a lot on the show, because you have to understand that you will never change someone's mind by yelling at them.
I think you can change someone. Do
you think if Obama came across like Stokely Carmichael, he would have been elected?
I don't know. I mean,
let me answer that question.
Yeah, no. But politics
at all.
Politics are different than human rights. You can't march into the Capitol demanding to be elected president. There is so much.
Why didn't she do it during the interview?
One of the problems with that interview was that she took issue with the superimposed words on the screen, right? Because it was like while she's talking, it just says "used to be a man" or something like that as a super. So all the things that were happening around with the superimposed stuff, it's sensationalized. So she saw it after and was like, "Oh, okay." It'd be like if we had this podcast and we're talking and it's beautiful and it's nice and I feel safe. But then you add it in later, just like, now reporting, there's a transsexual,
or underneath this entire conversation, I lay in yakety sax.
It's just like, every time I say something, it's,
I said an open mic in Boston. This will date this joke. And this guy's going, what if Ronald Reagan worked at a drive-thru? And Paula Poundstone said to him later, I think you worry too much. I don't think that's going to happen.
She's funny. She was funny.
She's funny. Yeah, at a certain point, it's just like, I cannot, as REM sang, not everyone can carry the weight of the world. I cannot invest in every single thing. You show me a comedian who doesn't offend somebody, probably a terrible comedian.
I cannot seem to put together a clean down the middle set to save my life.
That's why you're good.
I cannot. I can't do it. I'm like, I don't even know what topics or how you get to a punchline about anything that's not dark and twisted.
Good.
Right, me neither.
It's what you laugh at and what you find funny. And people who have had less than ideal adolescents tend to find humor in the darker things stuff. Because if you don't, you'd be enveloped by it. So I laugh. The darker it is, the more I laugh. Nothing makes me laugh harder than Blue Velvet when Dennis Hopper is putting lipstick on himself and beating the fuck out of Kyle MacLachlan. I think that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I've never seen that, but it sounds wonderful.
Oh my God, he's drunk and it's amazing. He's like, he tricks him and he's gonna kick the shit out of him. He goes, "Want to go for a ride?"
Oh my God.
He goes, "No, I don't." And he goes, "Don't what? Want to go? Go where? For a ride." "A ride? That's a great idea." And then he goes, "What do you want to drink?" "Heineken." "Fuck that shit."
Yeah.
"Pabst Blue Ribbon."
Oh my
God. And then he
God.
just starts putting lipstick on himself, going pretty, pretty, pretty,
Now,
pretty.
was it-
And then he beats the fuck out of him, and it's awesome.
And then Kyle MacLachlan also participated in the sex scene in Showgirls in the pool. That was like dolphin sex with the light up.
Much funnier. Yeah, much.
That was an amazing.
That
I thought
scene
it
was
Sex
tragic.
with the dolphin?
No, he said it was with Nomi,
Elizabeth Berkley. At least after sex, a dolphin will talk to you.
I've heard the dolphin. There's dolphin.
Have you
rape.
heard that?
The
Yeah,
problem with getting raped by a dolphin is the next day they see you and they act like they don't even know you.
Apparently, there's like 85 reported dolphin rapes. Imagine how embarrassing. Like per year, there's like 85.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, there's like 80.
And the police lineup, it's like a swordfish, a porpoise, a dolphin.
And then you just find out it's just like
Number 4, step forward and blow the bicycle horn.
When they drag the dolphin away, he's just going, "I'm intelligent. I'm intelligent."
There was a joke in an old Playboy magazine that my dad had, and it was a police lineup, 5 guys, and they're holding up cards that said like 10 inches, 8 inches, 7 inches, 12 inches, and the cop goes, "All right, ma'am, which of these men raped you?" And again, that was in the 70s. That was in this, that was within our lifetime.
That would not happen anymore.
No, you can't do that. There's a joke about woman goes into the police department and says, "Help, I was just attacked in the park." And the cop says, "Suck on this lemon." And she says, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, it'll wipe that grin off your face." I mean, these are like old jokes, but these are our dad jokes. But it's like, look how much has changed.
Some of it for the better, right? Some of it for the better.
No, I think that's
because
all
that
for the
lemon
better.
joke seems particularly mean.
That's all for the better.
But that's funny too. I mean, as a guy, that's funny.
It is funny, and you can laugh at it. But you can
grin off your face. Are there 2 people in the world? But are there people who see the humor in everything? And then the opposite type is the person.
She's at nothing. I agree. No,
I'm being serious.
Of
about
course
that.
you're being serious.
I mean, seeing the humor in everything.
Yeah, I think you can see humor in everything, and you can see tragedy in everything.
Yes.
And you need to just temper it.
And you started off talking about getting involved in causes because let's say animal causes, which I've gotten involved in, there's so much tragedy in it. There is so much tragedy in it, but you also have to see the beauty and the humor in the animals. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just in the evolution of it.
There's an innate human reaction to make jokes about things that are horrifying because you steal some of their power. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I had a really good friend who died on 9/11 that was on one of the planes.
It wasn't Atta, was it?
Muhammad Atta. He was a friend of mine.
you guys were really tight. You had a podcast together before podcasts were even big. It was like one of the earliest ones.
We used to tape record prank calls. It's like, that's a funny joke.
Yeah.
That's a great joke for parties.
Some of my
Was that did I just do your joke?
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing.
I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay.
That's funny.
It shows you how
I was being like,
It shows you why you're
it
friends.
shows you how in sync we are.
but you
I was
were really
gonna say-
good acting too because you
good acting.
over your face. I really saw. Dana. I never heard Dana tell me about his
I thought it
friend.
was the Cheers guy. I thought it was going to be the guy that wrote on Cheers. I was like, oh, you knew him. It was the guy who wrote on Cheers that was friends with Jake Hogan.
I'm okay. I've had a lot of shame through my life, but living day to day right now, I sold a show to Disney. Things are definitely changing.
You live in a good country to be who you are. When you look at the totality of
I don't know about
the
country, but Los Angeles.
I'm assuming there are still countries on Earth where you could be jailed.
Yeah, but there are also countries on Earth where it's celebrated. So, I mean, but for sure, you're killed in some countries. There's weird things happening around the world.
I thought we were automatically the best at everything.
Iran is weird because they're so homophobic, but they're okay with trans people because it's like, if you're a man attracted to a man, become a woman. That's fine.
Right.
Being a homosexual is disgusting and a murderable offense. So Iranians have they're like extra trans friendly. Yeah,
people think this is an advertising slogan that's actually in the Quran. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. That's actually not Almond Joy.
I'm a white, older, cartoon-making transsexual. It's not, there aren't a lot of me. But there are a couple of kids that look up to me and like to draw, and that's really empowering to think that, I'm providing, kind of a role model for them, and that's really cool. So there might be more of me in the future. But right now, there aren't a lot of me.
I'm sorry, I'm currently on white, transgendered, cartoon-making person.com, and it's a huge community.
Yeah, I get
glad I can connect you with these people.
For black trans women, it's terrible. And we have this Trans Day of Remembrance because people are getting murdered in the streets. Right. And the people that kill them are getting away with it with gay panic defense and that kind of thing.
Is that a real defense?
Oh, yeah. You don't know that one? That's a fun one.
Shadi Petosky, what is the gay panic defense? Does somebody killed a gay dude?
No.
And get away
what I
with
was
it?
saying was trans women, I'm a white trans woman. There are black trans women. They're getting killed because there's this idea that if you see a woman and you're attracted to them, but then you found out that they used to be a man or are really a man or any of those kind of things, then you were tricked. You
flip out. It's the type of thing. Your defense is that I went so crazy in that moment that I attacked and killed them.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Wouldn't that turn every Halloween into a slaughterhouse?
Well, but that's why
I thought it was Casper. I made a joke on Jonah Ray's podcast, and it was just not even a joke. It was just and people in the transgender community were horribly offended.
They were?
Horribly so. And you know what? In that case, I think they're right. Because what I kind of did in one casual line was invalidate their entire existence. So I get that, although I don't share their experience. On the other hand, I met Cher last night. Well, at least he said she was Cher. Let it go. There's a line, and it's like the Supreme Court's definition of pornography, which is quite literally, I know it when I see it.
My 9/11 joke, can I tell it?
Yeah.
Please do.
When I saw that first plane hit the tower, I said, this is going to be a great vehicle for Nick Cage.
I just pictured him doing push-ups with a fireman above him. Remember when he went through his super bulked up face in that movie Jade with the redheaded cop, and he was doing push-ups with a stripper as his weight, and I just picture him with FDNY guy. That was how I pictured it.
I always love how comedians in New York will wear an FDNY T-shirt to bulk up shitty material. We had a laugh at him. He knew a fireman.
I do a joke. I'm making the podcast for my jokes, but I do a joke where I go, I am sick of women wanting to fuck firemen. And each set I do, I expose one fireman from one ladder company around New York City. And today I'm exposing Frank Battaglia from ladder company 38. He keeps a Jew in his basement. So, ladies, next time you want to fuck a fireman.
Yes. That's amazing.
Is that a big thing, fireman groupies in New York?
Oh yeah.
Well, all over, I think.
Oh, my God. When the fire trucks used to drive by, we'd be I get embarrassed. I would blush. Because my friends would be fireman, because you get the hunky fireman. Everybody loves firemen.
And since that's happened, and now I look at these firemen, when they're shopping in Ralph's, they go together for some reason, firemen, because they're all we're part of the engine ladder 38. Right. We're all going to shop together, and they all get this shit.
Let's have a nice round of applause for our first responders.
Oh, my God. And I just look at them now, and I'm like, they are in very good shape, and some of them are very attractive. By the way, and that is my problem too with homophobia.
And
jokes,
they work around a pole. They work in the pole.
You always see. I always miss the obvious, and you always see it.
I always go right for the obvious, like a Dalmatian after a peasant.
It's like in Jamaica, like it's illegal to be a homosexual man, but it is not illegal to be a homosexual woman.
People tend to forget about trans men because, for one, just the effects of hormones is different. Like when you go through that sort of second puberty, if you do hormones, as a trans man, your voice drops, you get a beard, you gain muscle, all the things that testosterone does. It's more like what a teen puberty is, where you go from like a prepubescent boy to a man.
Right.
Like that transition is more like that. So a lot of trans men integrate incredibly well. They're not visibly trans like I am. So
you wouldn't know Chaz Bono.
Most trans men I've met, and because I'm around a lot of trans people, I get thrown in with that lot. Most trans men that I've met that have transitioned, a few years ago, it's just you would never have any idea. Ian Harvey's a comedian in LA. I don't know if you guys know Ian Harvey, but goes on stage and then has to talk about it, and then people are shocked.
But when I say,
it gets conflated because people always say, like, I'll say something about being trans, and they say, well, as a straight person, and then I'm like, whoa, I'm a straight person. Like I'm a straight person.
Right.
I'm trans. I'm only attracted to men and masculinity for whatever. I wish I wasn't. It'd be easier. But I'm a straight person.
Right.
But no. Okay, sorry.
To the uneducated and the uninitiated, to that point, I think a lot of, and I'm thinking about my parents. My family in Massachusetts.
Maybe think about them less. Seems to cause a lot of trouble.
Well, they're the people that you got to win over, But it's just like, I think most Americans see the trans community and transsexual, transvestite, you'd have to sit them down for 20 minutes and explain to them.
It took me years to understand this
right.
stuff.
But it's
I know
true.
what you're saying.
And it's like, well, is this person acting out? And it is tied in with gender, sexuality, sexual identity, and that adds for American culture, which is so shame-based and puritanical, an extra layer of goo that you have to put people at ease about that civil rights didn't have to deal with. It's harder for people to, separate their own. Everybody has their sexual shame and their sexual thing, and it's so easy to project that onto others.
Well, it's also just like it causes this issue where it's like the people that we have the most issue with are the people that might have to fuck us sometime. That's the people who are most afraid of us.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing with, like, you talk about race kind of being a separate thing, but it seems like especially with men, a lot of it was also tied up in, like, sex. The idea that they were scared of, like these black men coming and taking their white women from them. It's like always sex in this country.
In the 1950s, Kim Novak was under contract to Columbia Pictures. Harry Kahn, who ran Columbia Pictures, famous intemperate motherfucker. Kim Novak at the time was dating Sammy Davis Jr. Harry Kahn went to Frank Sinatra to see if he could get Sammy Davis Jr. killed. That was 50 years ago. George William Jorgensen was born to a carpenter and his wife in the Bronx, New York, in the spring of 1926. He served in the Army just after World War II, attended the Progressive School for Photography, and went to work for a time at Pathé News. In the early 1950s, George went to Copenhagen, Denmark, and began hormone replacement therapy. A series of operations followed, and on December 1st, 1952, the New York Daily News ran a front-page story with a rather sensational headline, "Ex-GI becomes blonde bombshell." Now, there had been previous gender reassignment surgeries, but Jorgensen's was one of the first to also include female hormone therapy. The Jorgensen story came to the attention of one George Weiss, a producer of low-budget exploitation films under the, in retrospect, incredibly ironic banner, Quality Pictures. Weiss made several offers to Christine Jorgensen for her story. Ms. Jorgensen turned them all down. But then a plucky young wannabe film director convinced Weiss that they could still make a movie. He was not transgendered, but he was a transvestite. And his inside, unique perspective would prove invaluable to the project. Still, Weiss had questions.
Mr. Weiss, I have never told anyone what I'm about to tell you, but I really want this job. I like to dress in women's clothing.
You a fruit?
No, not at all. I love women. Wearing their clothes makes me feel closer to them.
You're not a fruit.
No, I'm all man. I even fought in WW2. Of course, I was wearing women's undergarments under my uniform.
And so, Edward D. Wood Jr. got the job. And thus begins the strange and beautiful story of a strange and beautiful film. I didn't say it was good. I said it was strange and beautiful. Glen or Glenda? Now, that little audio clip that we played was from Tim Burton's masterpiece, Ed Wood, written by Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, who have graced this podcast in the past and will be again soon, I hope, plugging their new movie. Ed Wood tells the story of the making of Glen or Glenda and Bride of the Monster and Plan 9 from Outer Space. If you've never really seen the real Glen or Glenda, you have to. I would recount the plot, but there isn't one. Really. Scott Alexander commented, "It's a different movie every 10 minutes," and he's right. Glen or Glenda can best be described as the dramatization of a documentary if it were written and shot by a bipolar schizophrenic during an electrical storm at midnight, and then shown with the reels out of order. The film begins with a declaration. This is a picture of stark realism, taking no sides, but giving you the facts. The facts as they are today. You are society. Judge ye not. And then we cut to, well, I guess it's God. If your view of God is an aging Bela Lugosi sitting in a chair with a blanket over it.
Man's constant groping of things unknown, drawing from the endless reaches of time.
Now, if you boil those lines down, it really comes to, over time, there's stuff. And then, naturally, he wraps it up with,
pull the string. Dance to that, which one is created for.
The film takes us to the scene of a suicide. A transvestite, arrested one too many times for being caught in public dressed as a woman, and thus has taken his own life. The police inspector, wanting answers as to why, visits a psychiatrist, and a scene that, well, it's not really a scene. It's more of a spastic word collage.
From policeman to inspector, 20 years of it. I guess I've seen everything there is for a policeman to see. Yet I wonder if we ever stop learning. Learning about which we see. Trying to learn more about an ounce of prevention. I'm a man who thrives on learning. We only have one life to live. If we throw that one away, what is there left?
I think he's having a stroke. Now, after the scene, it would be a fun game to try and figure out what exactly it was he was trying to say. Unfortunately, we don't have time to linger on that scene, because if we do, we'll miss Bela Lugosi again.
Pull the string.
Yes! Then we meet a man named Glen, and Glen is reading the newspaper. He is reading a story entitled, Man Nabbed Dressed as a Woman. Then we hear the voice of a narrator, which is strange, because up until this moment the film has not had a narrator. And usually if a film does have a narrator, you meet him in the beginning. But let's not quibble. What's important is, late or not, the narrator got here.
The title of this can only be labeled Behind Locked Doors. Give this man satin undies, a dress, a sweater, and a skirt, or even the lounging outfit he has on, and he's the happiest individual in the world. He can work better, think better, he can play better, and he can be more of a credit to his community and his government because he is happy. These things are his comfort.
Now we are in the story of Glenn. But it's really the story of Ed Wood, who plays Glenn, and wrote the script and directed the movie. Ed Wood was a transvestite, and this is largely his story. But first, the narrator, Mr. I'll swing by and narrate when I damn well feel like it, spends about 7 minutes telling us that hats cause baldness and native warriors dress themselves up in bright feathers. You may be wondering why he tells us that. The answer is simple. I'm kidding, no one knows why. But then, we get into the story of Glenn, meaning Ed. And by story, well, that's a stretch too. To begin with, we do find out how Glenn became this mysterious split personality.
You go ahead and wear your sister's dress, Glenn. You always did look much better as a girl than you do as a man.
Glenn did wear the dress to the Halloween party. He even took first prize. Then one day it wasn't Halloween any longer.
But Glenn grew up and has finally met the woman he wants to marry, Barbara. But there's a problem. She doesn't know about Glenda. Will he tell her? Or will he continue to live a secret life in shame? As a filmmaker, Ed Wood knew that at this point in the story, there was only one thing to do. Cut to stock footage of a buffalo stampede. And after that, eventually, Glenn comes clean. And Barbara, after some soul-searching, accepts him for who he is.
I love Glenn. I'll do everything I can to make him happy.
And they all lived...
What of the others?
I'm sorry?
Less fortunate Glens.
Well, I know, but the movie is...
The end is only the beginning.
You mean there's more? Yes! Now we're going to meet Alan. And if Glenn is really the thinly veiled story of Ed Wood, then Alan is the thinly veiled story of Christine Jorgensen. Now, obviously, Glen or Glenda as a film is a train wreck. A charming train wreck, but a train wreck. It would be a complete waste of time were it not for its message, which is stated quite simply at the start of the film. Judge ye not. Glen or Glenda is a plea for tolerance. There's no doubt about it. It's the very naked story of a man saying, look, I have this thing I do. I enjoy it. It doesn't hurt anybody, and I'd like you to accept me. And for 1953, that was pretty ballsy stuff. There's one little piece in the film. The film has a ton of, just crazy stock footage sequences with voiceovers to pad out the time. But one such segment over footage of what appears to be an iron smelting facility allows us to eavesdrop on Jack and Joe, two regular working stiffs. And they discuss this rather perplexing issue of gender transformation.
Say, did you read about the guy that aims to a girl? Says he was perfectly normal, too.
How can a guy be normal and go and do a thing like that to himself?
All the same, it must take a lot of guts to pull a stunt like that.
That's a problem I don't ever intend to face.
Maybe it's a problem we should all face.
I don't get you.
Just think of the unhappy life. The miserable time this world of ours must have given that poor guy.
I still don't get you.
Now, here is a guy who wanted to be a girl. Supposing there had been no way to change...
You sound as if you're really head up on this thing.
I guess I am.
Do you realize what would happen if every man in the country that wanted to wear women's clothes or felt like a woman went to their doctors and wanted to change?
Of course. That's why I say perhaps society should be a little bit more lenient with them. Maybe society should try to understand them as human beings.
Yeah. What is wrong with that? Especially when you consider that this was 1953. Glen or Glenda, it's clumsy, it's inept, but it's got Bela Lugosi in a chair with a blanket over it, and it has a heart as big as the Ritz.
Pull the string.
Now, as I said before, the story of the making of Glen or Glenda is quite brilliantly told in Tim Burton's Ed Wood, which is, for my dollar, absolute mandatory viewing for everyone. If you've seen Ed Wood already but haven't seen the real Glen or Glenda, you really should see it. It is one of those films that needs to be seen to be believed. And after seeing Ed Wood, it will probably be even more entertaining. But, and I can hear you asking this, where can I see these films while at the same time helping out the podcast, yet not costing myself any additional money? You're in luck. Go on down to danagould.com, click on our Amazon banner, and shop away. You get what you want, whether it's Tim Burton's Ed Wood, Ed Wood's Glen or Glenda, or the book The Nightmare of Ecstasy by Rudolph Gray, which is the endlessly entertaining oral history of Ed Wood's life and times, which not only tells the behind-the-scenes story of Glen or Glenda, but was also an invaluable reference material on the set of Tim Burton's Ed Wood, which I know because I auditioned for the role of Paul Marco in the film, but didn't get it because it went to Max Casella, but I'm not bitter, really. While you're at danagould.com, you might want to contribute to the show. Well, there's a little doohickey widget right there to do that. And it will make our little doohickey widgets just twitch with appreciation and joy should you decide to do that. All proceeds go to the show. Ain't nobody getting rich off this fucker. Productions is in high gear, believe me. And while we're paying bills, let me tell you a little bit about Harry's.com. Harry's was sparked by the personal experience of Andy, one of the company's founders, which is something that happens to a lot of guys, especially me. Andy's story: I went to a drugstore. I waited 10 minutes for someone to unlock the case where the razors are being held. Yeah, when did razors become a high security issue? Are they afraid that bums are going to shoplift them and shave themselves? It's the same reason when you're on the 23rd floor of a building and you need a key to go to the toilet. Are there miscreants pushing shopping carts down the upper floors of high-level buildings? I'm a grown-up. I get in the building. Let me take a piss. Anyway, so Andy spends 10 minutes trying to get somebody to give him the blades. Then he spends another 5 minutes in line, and he walks out and looks into his bag, and what has he got? He spent $26. There's just got to be a better way. So Harry's.com focuses on providing guys with a great shaving experience, not the kind you talk your girlfriend in college into that she holds against you for 3 weeks. I'm talking about getting up in the morning and shaving your face for a fraction of the price of the competition. Harry's blades are half the price of regular razor blades. They're high-quality blades. They're engineered in their own factory in Germany. Anybody who doubts the wonders of German engineering, look at a documentary from the 1940s. And you get the convenience and ease of ordering online. They're shipped to your door. They have the look and feel and quality that you deserve. Again, I use them. Go to Harry's.com, use the promo code Dana, and shave $5 off your first purchase. $15 gets you a set that includes a handle, 3 blades, and shaving cream shipped to your door. Are you ready for this? In a box. Harry's even offers custom engraving options to engrave your initials in the razor if you have a Thurston Howley bent. So, come on, folks. If you're Glenn, shave your face. If you're Glenda, shave your legs. But with your beautiful face and your smooth legs, go on down to Harry's.com.
I have trouble with the homophobic material because I'm so conflicted sexually. What do you do with that? What the hell do you do with that?
Well, Eddie Murphy Raw did a whole album about it.
There you go. There you go, right?
I mean, come
That's
on.
a good point because what do you get in trouble for?
Sex,
right?
Yeah.
So obviously that material, it's a classic thing, by the way.
Me think thou does protest too much.
If
you have to do a whole album about it, I mean.
There you go.
Come on.
What's interesting is
I'm so conflicted about myself.
He has never commented on that at all.
He never has.
And it's funny. He seems to, I don't know if he does any press at all. He never puts himself in a position where somebody can go, whatever happened that time we got pulled over? Like nothing.
That's true.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the silence.
Yeah, but it also limits his accessibility. I heard that somebody who knows him said to me, he said he was giving her a ride. That's how you know he was lying. He said he was helping someone.
Yeah, it's not that she needed any help.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah. First time he's offered anyone any help.
Yeah, it's the first time.
By the way, do people give rides to anybody anymore?
No.
That you used to be able to hitchhike. Now, when you see a hitchhiker, because of all the forensic files, shows, you're like, I don't want to be killed.
I don't want to be killed by that guy.
Yeah. I'd much rather be killed by Dana Gould.
Right. To me, it was the movie Monster with Charlize Theron. I don't. That was sorry. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. That was like, ooh.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's scary to men because it's women serial killer.
Oh, she was a killer?
Yeah. True story. True story.
True story. There haven't been many women serial killers, but now they're starting to prop up.
There should be.
It's trending on Twitter. You should check it out.
I should check that out. I've got a lot of rage. People would be stunned.
By the way, the Manson murders, more women than men in the crew.
Oh, wow.
Tex was the only dude.
Because ladies will follow a guy and do crazy stuff.
Susan and Atkins and Krenwinkel.
But men are such easy victims, though, in that sense. Like, if a woman is like, and I think that's what she did, like offer them sex.
Yeah.
And then kill, like men, you just knock them down like flies.
It's so funny when you see a beautiful woman. You see a beautiful woman. And then as time and age do their filthy business. And they become less physically impervious. You can see this sudden change in their face of like, men don't let me into traffic as much as they used to. Oh, yeah, no, I know. Yes. Yeah, sometimes people don't let you in at all.
It's so funny. I have to say, growing up looking like Ron Howard till I was 15, it's so fascinating to me. I so have the wiring of, it's so shocking when
Better than Clint Howard.
Oh my God, I don't know who that is.
Ron's brother.
I've been up against him in a lot of auditions.
Yeah.
Clint Howard. But go ahead.
Not a looker.
Oh, really? I will say, like, it's always fascinating to me that any woman is wired where they think anyone will ever let them into traffic. I approach the world as a young redheaded man.
It's so funny. I don't want to brag and I don't want you to treat me any differently.
Ralph's.
I was at Jenny Lewis and the Watson twins with some friends, and John Hamm was there.
Okay, we know who that is.
I like him.
John Hamm.
He doesn't wear underpants. He's got a big dong.
I know him.
He always walks around free balling. It's a huge sauce. He's got a trouser snake. There's always top headlines that says John Hamm's dick is taking him out for a walk.
Well, it's funny.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
They always snap pictures
Yeah,
of
because
he doesn't really have a giant penis. He has put that out there because it makes it easier for him to do his real love, which is shoplift slinkies. We are acquaintances, and I saw him at the concert, and I said hello, and every woman in the hi. This is what it's like to be a pretty chick. Like, the whole world is like, what? I'm even going to be nice to your toady wingman.
Oh, I have a podcast.
I played Dana Gould.
I was on this first season of The Working. I gave Jerry Seinfeld a van.
It's just a different way of doing hi. I see hi.
Have you seen The Simpsons?
Yeah, I wrote a cartoon for many years. I have 3 Asian children. I have kids, and I don't get laid.
I found a way to have the responsibility of parenthood without the pleasure of an orgasm.
That's great. Hi, John.
Hi,
exactly.
John.
But then the really cool women realize, wait a minute. Who's the wingman?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's never happened.
The women that
never happened.
I always get the look from, hey, there's a chick down the bar eyeing you, and I always look down and it's somebody with like a lot of their hair pulled out and an eye patch, sifting their fingers through a shoebox full of doll heads.
That was me.
Hi. If I kill you, do I become you? There's only one way to find out.
I like to wear your skin as a suit. You're going to fit nicely into my floorboards.
You've got a lot of loose skin. Huh? What? Somebody had a really great thing. It was like, music was much better when they let ugly people make it.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I was like, this might not be the kind of music that you like, but
what
you
about
can't
ugly
rag
beauty?
on there.
Have you heard that phrase?
Oh, yeah. Jolie Laide. That's a French phrase. It's a French phrase, Jolie Laide.
Oh, you know the French term for it.
That's what they call it. It means,
well, you've never heard that?
Because
like
in France, in France, they think of somebody's like ugly beautiful, meaning they're like Tilda Swinton would be somebody who's Jolie, like odd. Unusual,
odd beauty.
Yeah, she's like super tall, and she's like in modeling campaigns, but she's not your classic female beauty.
Right. Oh, that's an interesting.
I think it's a charisma that comes through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I came up
with
that.
I liked her better. I liked her better when she was David Bowie. It's the same person.
Now, there was a rumor that she has like 2 lovers, like a man and a woman, or a husband and a young lover. Tilda Swinton.
Nothing
she's got 2.
would surprise me.
She's got 2. Do we have access to internet?
There's a certain thing like she shits anacondas. All right. It's like nothing surprising. Whatever.
Really?
Good for her for the confidence of taking 2 lovers. That's somebody who really feels good about themselves.
One's for the summer.
Definitely. Once for the summer.
I'm taking a lover for the summer.
Have you taken a lover for the summer, Jane?
Where are you summering? In Jane? You're summering in Jane?
I'm summering in Martha's Vineyard, and I'm taking a lover for the summer. And it's Tilda Swinton. She's going to love her.
I'm taking a lover for the summer.
We're taking love, and Eddie Pepitone's going to come over for cocktail parties.
At 5 o'clock.
Everybody close off.
And it's fun. It's fun until he starts talking about animal rights. Are you a cat lady, Eddie?
I used to be. I had 2 of my own, and my wife had 3. So we got together, and then we have 5.
You're like the Brady Bunch of cats.
So I was a big cat person, but now I got a dog for the last year and a half, and it's really kind of sad the way I now
ignore the cat.
The cat.
You have 5 cats.
I'm all about the dog.
What kind of a dog?
Oh my God, she is a little terrier that I have.
I love dogs too. I love dogs.
Fallen. It's insane. I actually talk to my shrink about it now.
Yeah.
Because I'm too attentive and concerned about. I think what I'm doing is because she's a rescue and she's got abandonment things, and I think I'm projecting my fucking shit on her, and I'm so worried. One time
and in an effort to control the dog, you deny it orgasm. This far and no farther.
Oh God, that threw me.
Because it's the truth. I'm sorry. Did I set off a truth bomb? Daddy?
Did you set off a truth bomb?
I was going to say something so insightful
about ruined it.
You and your dog,
me and the dog.
Projecting your abandonment.
I was having a fight with my wife, right? So I raised my voice, and I saw how scared
the dog got,
and I have never felt more miserable. I just
shame.
go,
You went to
shame.
I
was no, but so many feelings. I was like, oh shit, I cannot do that. You cannot make another being feel afraid. I just was like,
I'm amazed at how stupid my dog is. My dog,
which one?
Alfie. Alfie's like, oh dude, that room that you gated off? I found a way to shit on that rug. It was so hard.
Oh, my God.
Because you gated it off and then you shut the door. And every time I try to get near there, you pull me away. It took me so long to figure out a way to shit on that rug for you.
What's the name of
but
your
now
dog?
We're good.
What's the name of your dog that has the full pronoun name?
Scott Davis.
How is Scott Davis?
Scott Davis is fine.
Did Lou name Scott Davis? Because that's the best dog name
Alice
ever.
named Scott Davis.
He's a little guy, isn't he?
Scott Davis.
We wanted to name him Scout, and then the way my daughter pronounced Scout sounded like Scott, and then I just went, Scott Davis. Gave him a last name. I imagine him like a Matthew McConaughey kind of JKL
Paul
dude.
Kozlowski named
I picture him.
He named his cat Tom Kenny, which is, I think, an incredibly passive-aggressive maneuver if you happen to be Tom Kenny, who is, it's like, we're all friends.
They're buddies, I think.
Yeah, we all are, but if you named your cat Dana Gould, I'd be kind of weirded out by it.
That's funny because I get honored when someone names a pet after me.
I wish I'd name my cat Eddie Pepitone. I
want to name my cat Arden Myrin, but not Dana because Dana gets.
Yeah.
Honey, we have to change the name of the dog. It can't be Dana Gould.
I don't
want a tribute. It's a
I don't want
tribute.
people going, I think Dana Gould peed in the kitchen. I just.
You're right. That could lead to bad. You're right. If a lot, especially with the internet.
I want people to know that I peed in the kitchen. I love it. It makes me feel powerful.
Especially with the internet. Oh, God.
Welcome to Political Talk with 2 guys from Boston. A working man's look at the socio-political issues of our day. And now, Political Talk with 2 guys from Boston.
This is Political Talk with 2 guys from Boston. I'm Johnny Condon.
Robbie Sullivan here.
So I'm at Plums in Worcester.
Oh, yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah, I was out there running. I was out there on a run. We had to pull some old asbestos out of some ducting.
Oh, yeah.
We get the hazmat suits, the whole deal. We
Sure.
Junk all that. We're on our way home. We stop off at Plums. I got a BLT.
Oh, nice.
And there's a store that sold discount work shoes.
Oh, yeah, I know the place.
And I'm with Fitzy, and I'm like, where the hell is this place?
It's like a boot outlet.
Yeah. I go on Yelp, wholesale boots, current location.
Yeah.
It comes up instantly. It's that one.
Really?
I click 2 more buttons, and there's a voice talking me through how to drive there.
Is that right?
Yeah, on my iPhone.
Wow.
And now I'm thinking, how did people find places before?
Ever.
Like, I can't find anything now without that.
Yeah.
And there was a time when people just had to know where shit was or ask around.
Yeah. This is back in the days of rotaries.
Exactly. But, we had to ask directions like apes.
Mm-hmm.
But now...
Don't ask him. Don't ask him. Oh, don't ask him.
He doesn't
So my
know.
mother would
and
say.
It's always like,
don't ask
look
him.
For, and especially half the neighborhoods I ended up going to. Look for an Albanian woman giving birth on the hood of an El Camino.
Yeah.
Here's what weirds me out.
Yeah.
That there will come a time when what we do now will be considered prehistoric.
Right.
And I don't know what it will be.
Well,
How do we go from here?
I think we'll tell our cars where we want to go. We'll take a nap, and then we'll be there.
Yeah. Or like they used to have their phones were not built into their forearms.
You're
they had to
kidding
carry
me.
them around.
That's weird.
It'll be like this. Hey, you want to go to the ball game? I just did. I have the Wormhole app. I just jumped ahead 11 hours.
Oh, that's
went on
nice.
StubHub.
Yeah.
Got my tickets. Where's Debbie? Oh, you know what? She hit the wrong button, went too far back. Met a guy. It seems to be working out, so she's going to stay there. Oh, that's nice. Actually, it's not nice. Turned out it was a younger version of her father, and now she's knocked up with herself, so she can't come here.
Oh, that is weird.
That'll be what'll happen in the future.
It's like
The whole thing will be the butterfly effect.
My nephew watches Doctor Who.
Natch.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. It's like, we're all in a small town of the earth, and everyone else is sort of like in part of our state. So
Right. And you know what his
hate
ship is
anybody.
called?
What's that?
The TARDIS.
Oh, yeah.
You better be really careful with that one nowadays.
What are you, half a TARDIS?
Yeah, you're going to get it. They're going to catch it.
Yeah.
You know the John Wayne movie Chisholm?
Oh, yeah.
Chisum.
I remember.
That was released in 1969. At the Oscars won most carefully pronounced movie of the year.
Oh, that's nice.
John is covered in Chisholm. It's funny because when you watch a lot of his movies, you think, this guy's a dick.
Yeah, he's not nice to a lot of the people.
In the Searches, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, there, little pilgrim.
He wants to kill.
Does he ever say pilgrim?
I don't know, but he wants to, in the Searches, he wants to kill his niece because he thinks she might have got porked by a non-white.
That's good.
Yeah.
Today, politically correct means don't talk.
Yeah, stay in your house.
You're going to say something wrong, Ma. I really don't think you should come.
Yeah.
I know you don't think it's wrong, but everything you say has something in it.
My mother would not harm a fly, not because she has any love of flies, but the effort to kill something else would be too much time away from thinking about herself. She actually will still say colored. Who's the colored comedian that you like so much? He's young.
Who is it? Who is it?
Well, I find out she's talking about Eddie Murphy, who hasn't been young in 40
Oh,
years.
yeah, I thought you were going to say Kevin Hart.
Yeah, no.
My nephew showed me a special of Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
And
Kevin Hart, who I've never heard of and is selling out the state of Arkansas.
And now he's got a feature with Will Ferrell, my nephew told me. And I thought, how does he know this?
How is he a star? People become famous. I don't even know how they're famous.
Well, he's funny, and he's telling his own story. And my nephew told me, and he's also my height.
I was talking to a friend of mine from Wyoming.
Oh, yeah? You got friends in Wyoming?
I have.
How'd that happen?
He lives in Danvers, but he's from Wyoming.
Oh, I see. That makes more sense.
Yeah. I met him at our anonymous men's group.
Oh, yeah, that's the 12-stepper.
Yeah, the bad coffee meeting.
Oh, that's good.
He's telling me that his dad comes home when he was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And makes them watch this concert on HBO.
Sure.
Because as this guy I sat next to on the plane.
Really?
And it's Prince.
No.
And his dad sat next to Prince and didn't know who he was.
Wow.
He was just a guy. And Prince was so delighted that this guy had no fucking idea who he was because he's just a regular guy.
Refreshing.
Yeah, he was telling, well, let me tell you something about myself. I'm in Minneapolis and I love Jesus and orange juice and Fala Funk. Well, that's nice, Mr. Prince. Oh, please call me Prince. All right, Mr. Prince. Just call me Prince. All right, Prince. I wrote a song while you were thinking about calling me Prince. I wrote a 10-minute song, but it only took me 7 seconds to write. That's very nice, Mr. Prince. Again, you keep calling me Mr. Prince. I'm sorry, it's a habit. Let's write a song called Habit. And then he wrote a long funk jam called Habit. And his dad knew Prince. His dad was like, oh, you seem to be fine.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Nice
I think it
fella.
was the American Music Awards. He did a version of I don't know. I think it was a patriotic song, but he just was amazing. He's worked at playing the guitar ever since like Purple Rain. He just went home and stayed there. I think for a long time. It worked. He got better.
And I think he's like 3.5 feet tall.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's very tiny.
I've never seen him in person.
He's very, very tiny. Most of the time you've seen him, they have a magnifying glass in front of the camera lens.
I didn't know that.
To make him look normal height.
That worked on me.
Yeah.
And then what do they do with the other band
He is
members?
actually an Oompa Loompa.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, what do they do with the other band members? Do they make them stand in front of it too, or
They're
also
very,
small?
very far away.
Oh.
He's actually a quarter mile in front of them,
I didn't know
and that's
that.
why he looks their height.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
If it wasn't for depth of field,
and
you would-
monitors.
Exactly.
That works.
Because here's the thing: he's very Christian.
Is that right?
Chris. Oh, Prince believes in Jesus. Oh,
know
so
that,
heavily.
Johnny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's very Christian.
So does Prince mean
He thanks God all the time. He thanked God for helping him write the lyrics to Clit Buster.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
like he's
nice.
hardcore Christian.
I didn't realize that.
And a lot of you hardcore Christians, they believe that evolution is a fallacy.
Well, I understand why. It kind of wrecks the book they wrote.
Right. But they believe in guardian angels.
Is that right?
Right. So Fred Flintstone is bullshit, but the Great Gazoo,
That's
absolutely real.
That's real. Wasn't that Hobby
It was
Corn?
hello, dum-dum.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's how you know guardian angels ain't real. I don't have one that's an asshole. Because if there was such a thing as a guardian angel, I would have a guardian angel that would I would take a nap and oh, sorry, while you took a nap, I accidentally cut your arm and dumped a condom full of AIDS semen into your bloodstream.
Oh,
What?
my.
Thanks a lot, guardian
I
angel.
always felt
I drew a swastika on your forehead while you were sleeping. Dum-dum.
I used to think Kazoo must be the TV stations thinking, well, I don't know if the Jetsons will work. Let's put one of something futuristic in the Flintstones.
Was he a magical being? Was he from the future?
He had a helmet on.
He
didn't
wore a helmet.
Yeah. That helmet seems futuristic. They didn't have any helmets on Fred.
I'm going on Google if I get a signal here.
When you go on Google, when you're on Google, do you ever punch something in and something else comes up? Because that's all that's ever happened for me.
Yeah, there's apparently on Google you can see a picture of Eliza Dushku at an award ceremony with a beaver showing.
Well, this is
so
weird
I
because
Googled Eliza Dushku and then I Yahoo'd myself.
I end up saying something. They spell corrected on me. Spell correct. It's very weird to me that I already spelled it. I spelled it right, and now they're going to guess what I was saying.
Right. In the old days, people used to walk around with the Encyclopedia Britannica in their backpack. It was the only way you could get all this information.
And a dictionary. You know?
And a fourth.
Yeah, nowadays, my niece is like, I learn words because when I try to say them, like she'll talk into her phone and say, hi, Ma, after school, I got swimming. Can you pick me up? Whatever it is.
Oh, and it's a text?
And it's a text.
Yeah.
She speaks into it, and then she writes done, but then she looks at it for errors.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And instead of what she said, it's like, I have pancake batter on my foot. Like, it's just nothing close to what she said. It's just very weird.
Yeah, it reads like a letter written at midnight from an insane asylum during a violent electrical storm.
And it'll pick up like radio signal in the background and mix the two things. She's saying something, the radio DJ saying something, and now that's the text.
The great thing about the internet is you can find out stuff like, I didn't know that Charles Manson's, he called his family his Dune Buggy Attack Battalion.
Oh, wow.
Who knew?
Just on the holidays or all the time?
No, not just on the holidays.
Oh, that's weird.
All the time.
What's the first thing they said? Let's put some time into this for him. Charlie, what would you like to do?
Uh-huh.
Like, what was it? Like, my dad flooded the backyard to make a skating rink, and my younger brother was 2 years old. He couldn't even walk, and he's out there pushing a crate around, a milk crate turned upside down, learning how to skate before he learned how to walk.
Oh, interesting.
Was there anything like that for Charlie? What did he do?
I'm guessing, and this is based on no knowledge whatsoever, that he had a less than ideal childhood.
You think?
I don't think he spent a lot of days going down to the fishing hole.
Or playing Frisbee.
Yeah. I don't think he played Frisbee. Or
See,
I
now
don't
I
think
feel
he
bad
fished.
for him.
I think his mother traded him for sex.
Oh.
I think his mother, hey, you can have sex with my kid if you give me the rest of your jelly donut.
Oh, that is sad.
Yeah. That's the age-old question. Charles Manson, evil or damaged?
I don't know.
How do you separate?
I don't know. There's that new documentary, I don't even know, The Act of Killing or The Art of Killing. Or no, the act
I'm listening.
It's weird because they talk to these people that did all this stuff to people and they have no guilt about it, but then they make them play the victim.
How so?
Literally, it's a documentary by this guy. I couldn't watch the whole thing. I got freaked out. But but it's a documentary about the people that are involved with, like, what do you call it when someone does something in war and they're really mean to people all over, like they killed a lot of people? War crimes.
War crimes.
So they're guilty of war crimes.
Right.
But then they interview these people who
like
are
the
guilty
people
of war
in Africa and like the Hutus and the Tutsis.
Oh, yeah.
There was a vast
those,
civil war.
Those turned out to be good bands.
I miss the Tootsies.
Yeah, I never got to see
They're
them.
reuniting
I
for
never saw them
Coachella.
live. I never saw them live, but I remember when Dale Dorman would introduce them on the radio.
I've got 2 words for you, Dale Dorman. Cream rinse. Yeah, no, so what happens? So they go to these people, they make them play the victim, and then what happens?
Originally, they wanted the victims, but the victims were like, no, these guys that did this to my family and all me, they're all still around. I can't say anything. So they went and they talked now to, like, all these people that had done this stuff, and they're basically heroes in some of their countries because, you know, they justified it and it all worked out. Except when they talk to these people, they're like, oh, since we can't get the victims to talk, we'd like to have you now, after you've explained what you've done, play the victim and see how that goes. We'd like to have you be an actor. Now, I'm going to get to be an actor, they think to themselves. And then they start doing it, and you can see them starting to realize, like, oh, maybe this would have sucked if someone had killed my whole family and then threatened me with torture and then killed the rest of the people I know. Maybe that wouldn't have been nice.
Right.
You know, maybe we should have a Hallmark card for these people. Something. There's a dude right now who's doing space exploration, and he wants to, like, have his own country. It's
a penal planet.
Yeah, he created one of these apps. I forget who it is, but I don't remember stuff. You know that, Johnny. I can't remember stuff.
I understand. You're like the guy
I don't have apps.
You don't have any apps?
No, I don't use apps.
So we're going to have a telethon to get Robbie some apps.
I would love, if your folks are out there.
Well, my nephew takes my phone and puts all his shit on it. And then
I want a liar's app where I can speak into it what I'm about to say and then find out if I'm full of shit or not.
Well, yeah, I have that app. Like, if I'm writing a text and I say, like, I had hot sex last night, it will correct it to, I jerked off alone in the broom closet. I can't sneak anything past.
I'm not sure I'd catch it. I'd just push done, and then I'd be like, oh, no, I shouldn't have told him.
Yeah. And I hope one day I watch you die. Oh, shit, I shouldn't have said that.
I would like a food app that says, you've already eaten that same meal 4 times this week, you moron.
You have eaten already.
Yeah,
lunch number 3, really?
I'm a repetitive eater. I like what I eat, and I keep eating it, and people go like, but that's all your body's getting. And I'm like, well, it's getting it a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes I will wake up after taking an Ambien, and there will be so many empty cans of cake frosting in my bedroom, I would think that the car of someone just married is parked in the hallway.
That's good. If I have too many beers, I'll go home, fall asleep, I'm fine. Then I wake up and I've eaten a whole jar of pickles and drank the juice.
Oh, God. That's
good.
like drinking the juice they put combs in when you get your hair cut.
That is what it is. It's like that. It's that good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The Great Gazoo is a tiny green floating alien who was exiled to Earth from his home planet Zetox as punishment for having invented a doomsday machine.
Oh, that's weird.
His invention was a button, which, if pressed, would destroy the universe.
Well, I wonder if he had a tiny 12-step program, and Zetox is actually something very similar to Detox, and the Earth is actually more like a place that you go for rehab.
They didn't have enough going on with talking.
I think it was like MASH when it got too medical at the end. I think the Flintstones was getting a little too medical. The stories were getting dramatic. You know, it was all now about Wilma going through menopause, and, you know, I don't remember that storyline, but I'm just saying.
The story arc regarding the Great Gazoo was never finalized because of the cancellation of the original series.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. The story is never resolved, nor does he return or is referred to in the immediate series follow-up, The Man Called Flintstone, which I never knew it was called that.
Wow.
Or any of the latest spin-off TV series or animated movies.
Was that like Archie's Place, or was Wilma still in it?
I don't know. I think that a lot of episodes of The Man Called Flintstone we watched as the Flintstones.
Yeah, I never remember that title. I mean, did they still have Dino coming to the door and knocking down the door and licking him and everything?
It's very strange when you realize that Fred ate dinosaurs. Like at the beginning of the show, he eats a brontosaurus
and
rib.
he has one as a pet.
And he has one as a pet.
Yeah, it's like Koreans.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Many people think that when they introduced the Great Gazoo, the Flintstones jumped the shark.
Oh, weird.
Which implies that there was a time when they thought they didn't. Good Lord.
Yeah, and remember the one that they all get really old, and Dino's got like, he's a gray old dog, and they're all like, well, they've all got canes and all that.
I thought you were going to say they all have cancer. Remember the Flintstones when they all got cancer?
From eating too many rocks. They had like rock cereal at some point. I was like, what?
Yeah, they had Pebbles.
Yeah, oh, there you go.
Yeah, Fruity Pebbles.
That's what it is.
Not only did he eat dinosaurs and have one as a pet, he also ate a cereal named after his child.
And then they had the commercials on the Flintstones.
On the Flintstones.
For that cereal. But the cereal lasted longer than the series.
There is more going on.
They still have it.
There's more going on in Bedrock that meets the eye, and the more I learn, the less I want to know.
Yeah, it's more and more like a...
Peyton Place?
Yeah.
Twin Peaks? What are you, from Twin Peaks?
I was thinking it was something else.
I got to say this, and then I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know you got to go.
I don't know if, I guess you call him little person now?
Oh, yeah.
The little person that talked backwards on Twin Peaks?
Oh,
Remember
yes,
that?
Yes.
Best thing I've ever seen on television.
Yeah?
Better than when the Bruins beat the St. Louis Blues in 1971.
Come on.
Better.
Are you serious?
She filled with the greatest thing ever.
Hey, we're out, but you're in with us.
Bevilacqua Heating and Air Conditioning. We're cool if you're cool.
Political Talk with two guys from Boston.
Bevilacqua Heating and Air Conditioning t-shirts. Now available at comedyfilmnerds.com. If you tell a writer or a comedian there's no way this thing is funny, if they have any self-respect, they will set about proving you wrong.
That's what bothers me about comedians. I'm one of the last voices of reality, and I'm out there fighting truth to power, and I'm fighting all these battles, and I'm so bold. And then somebody goes like, hey, that joke you made was gross. And they're like, they're just jokes. Calm down.
I never say that. I don't say that.
But like you,
but
that's why I liked when you.
But you're allowed to make mistakes.
Oh yes, like you immediately were like, hey, what I said was super gross. You're right. I was being an idiot. You're absolutely correct. Right. To just have somebody just be like, you know what? I'm sorry. That was wrong, and I messed up. I'm really sorry. Like this thing of like you fail, and then you put your back against the wall and put your teeth up, and you're like, I will not admit to anything.
Yeah, well, but you can also, I do a bit in my latest special where I open with an AIDS joke, a rape joke, and a joke about 9/11, just to prove that these subjects are not verboten. And the AIDS joke, it's not really an AIDS joke. It's a joke about tornadoes and Christians, but it talks about AIDS. Right. So the point is, if I say I'm going to do an AIDS joke, people immediately shut it off, but it's not really an AIDS joke. It's a joke with the word AIDS in it.
But those jokes you can articulate, and you can be like, well, here's why I do these jokes. And if someone is like, I still don't like that you do those jokes, you seem like you are capable of just being like, well, I disagree with you, and have I articulated to you why I do them? And, we all have different opinions, and that's fine. Like, I have a joke in my act where I quote a black guy who calls me the N-word, and the joke does not work if I don't say it. And it's about a guy, I thought it was the worst word anyone could say to anyone else. And then I was on my phone playing Tetris, and a black guy sitting next to me went, yo, nigga, you good at Tetris? And that was when I realized that while it's the worst thing a white guy can say to a black guy, it's the best thing a black guy can say to a white guy. And so, but that joke, I've had people being like, are you sure you should be saying that? And I'll be like, well, here's what the joke's about. And I'm like expressing my own privilege, but I'm still a comedian, and people still have to laugh, and people don't laugh if I don't use the word. So we'll just have to agree to disagree.
You told the AIDS joke, the rape joke, and what was response off your special? Did you get like a lot of people saying like that was completely inappropriate?
No, and the thing at the end of the special is even worse. Nothing.
What did you cut from the special?
I cut nothing. Showtime, I think, cut something. Yeah. I did a thing at the end about the R word, and
I actually don't know what the R word is.
Retard.
Oh, right. I remember that part.
The attempt to call that the R word equates it with the N word and the C word, but those words are just words. The R word is a word. It's in the dictionary. It means stunted growth. That's why we have flame retardant. I used to live near the Rentham Home for the Retarded. It was a word in the vernacular. It was a sign on the Mass Turnpike. Rentham Home for the Retarded, 2 miles, exit 32. You've never driven on the turnpike and saw a nigger cunt 6 miles. And that's in the special. That's on the album. But it's and nothing because it's just like you can say anything if you say it correctly. It's just, and I think that what people bristle at, and you have to take the time to articulate it correctly, as it's the thought police. Well, don't say you can't think that.
Well, that's a weird idea. That's the defense too. That somehow marginalized people all of a sudden are the police or have some authority. I don't think
they're talking about trans people. I think they're talking about the PC liberal campus assholes.
People are bristling. I mean, it's like white people. It's mostly white people. It's mostly, and especially white men, are like bristling at the idea that the way we've lived our whole lives have bothered some people. And some of the things we've been saying for a long time have bothered them, and these ideas. And change is hard, and change is terrifying.
Yeah, that's true. But there's also the false belief that nothing should bother me.
Now, when people attack you on Twitter, not about stuff like this, but when you get attacked on Twitter, do you reply? How do you deal with it?
I've learned not to reply unless they're really valid with what they're saying. But like an attack, I just am like I don't do it because engaging.
Does it bother you?
Well, it's. I think a lot of it is just a game of
when you read like
yes,
because it's like somebody jumps out of a bush and punches you in the face. You don't know.
It does bother me.
It hurts your feelings.
Yeah, it hurts my feelings. Or like if I think they're like really like hateful, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I feel unsafe immediately.
Yeah. How do you? If they're valid, I'll own it, and if not, I just ignore it. There are a lot of people that just go.
Blocking is great.
I've never blocked anybody, but it's just
is that
like,
right?
No, but it's just like you either have a mental problem and you're just really, or it's just like. Why should I bother? The best way to put out a fire is to deprive it of oxygen.
You know what? I can't ignore it because I feel like I used to never stand up for myself. And so the way I deal with it is I always reply and I just go, thanks, exclamation point. And they never know how to reply. I thank them and I think it's so
sarcastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I just go thanks. But though I have blocked some people when I did Chelsea like one time and they had us we don't pick their topics and one of the topics was Beyonce. So I love Beyonce, but we had to make jokes about it. So I made a couple jokes and there's a thing online called the Beyonce Army that is kind of like
they actually had a horrible skirmish with the Kiss Army.
It was.
They're on maneuvers outside of Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Hilarious.
There's a big plaque at California Pizza Kitchen.
It all went down over the
27 people killed.
27 people.
There was 4 wigs left all over the Calabasas CPK.
So she actually has an army of people that
they will come after you,
criticism.
and they're like, "We're gonna get you."
They threaten you.
They're like threatening. Like
if you make fun of Beyonce,
yeah.
I'm going to do that now. But you can't make fun of Beyonce.
You can't make fun of Beyonce. Not on TV, you can't.
I was on a show and I said, I have 3 kids under 12 years old. It's like having apes. And somebody said, Danny Gould called his Chinese children monkeys.
Oh, my God.
No, I said that on a show or a podcast, and then somebody said that on Twitter, and I didn't even acknowledge it.
You didn't even acknowledge it.
No,
yeah. Because you fan it, like you said.
Yeah, just like, why am I going to give you some juice?
Totally.
I can get offended by just about anything if I choose to be.
Me too.
But at a certain point, you just have to put on your big boy pants.
Put on your big boy pants.
And get in the game.
I love big boy.
Put on your underoos.
Interesting trans history tidbit. I know we're running out of time, but in the 60s, in order to transition, you had to integrate correctly. So doctors would say, you cannot talk to other trans people. You can't be around other trans people. We don't want you to be in like fruity culture. Don't go to those gay bars. You need to like join the women's league, be a mom, or if you're a trans guy, you're a nurse. That's not a man's job. You have to become a truck driver. Like you have to change. That's how they treated us then. So it's only been like the last 20 years that we've even been allowed without having like medical care removed from us to talk to each other and to be political together. Yeah. And I think that that's the thing is that trans people, we have a history. We were illegal until the mid 70s. Like if somebody saw me and said, oh, you're a man wearing women's shit, I would be put in jail just for walking down the street in most places until like the 80s.
Yeah.
Like that's
people thought Norman Bates.
Yeah, well, right. But aside from like what they saw on TV and all that bullshit, is like the law said no, you could not dress in the clothing of the opposite sex. That was against the law in most places. So like we have this history of just being really separated, being forced underground, you know, having to do sex work if we wanted to make a living and be out and live out, or do drag shows or performance type things in underground clubs. Like that's our history. So we have not been able to talk about these things. And then the internet comes along and now we're able to talk to these things. So we're just figuring this out for ourselves for the first time too. And we have a lot of disagreements, and somebody like Janet Mock and Laverne Cox are bringing us together in a completely new way. And that was for us, and it changed my perspective, and it means, you know, like we're all sitting on each other's couches and sharing ideas and Google chatting and trying to figure out how to get in the past and how to get these things to happen.
That's so fascinating.
It's all new.
Why do we get to the fact that you were illegal at the very end of the show? I wanted to talk about the Bryan Cranston Godzilla versus the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, so I'm going to ask you both to come back.
Thank you.
Thank you. My mother was just out here. My mom was out here.
Oh, my God.
And it was, let me say this, love my mom. Had her out here for 6 days, and I can only say that it was a psycho-emotional wrecking ball. It was just
what being with
my mom. Like. Yeah, my mom is at the point now where
My
like
dad too.
going to the airport in about 10 hours. You don't need to buy a box of fudgicles.
So fun. I really think
she's not overweight.
She just wants things.
She's not overweight, but she surrounds herself with junk food and then will nibble it.
And she's not overweight.
Not overweight. No, she'll.
Oh, she just takes little
Yeah,
bites.
she had 3 bites of a donut for breakfast.
I've never had 3 bites of a donut.
But she has to buy 6 donuts to do that.
I've never left a donut.
And literally, my daughter,
They're very good.
My
I
oldest
love
daughter,
donuts.
who loves junk food, literally, Nana was visiting, and I had to like hit her with a stick outside. You're not coming into this house before I throw away the junk food. It was like a garbage within 6 days, like a garbage bag of
my
junk
God. Well,
food.
my dad is diabetic, and his bar is just filled with candy. We have filing cabinets in the garage of a year supply of mint M&Ms, one for each.
And he's diabetic?
He's diabetic.
Does he eat them?
Yeah.
The Marine family crest is a testament to the shame of dying with your toes. The goal of the Marine family is to lose all 10.
Oh my! Yeah, if you die with any toes, you've really saved the family
Your
crest.
feet should
I'm going
look
to
like
get a toe taken off.
Your feet should look like an elephant's feet. That's what they say. My mom's visiting, and I take my mom and my daughters to breakfast, my 3 daughters under 12, and I excuse myself to go to the bathroom. I'm gone for 4 minutes.
Get
and
ready.
in that time, my mother is telling my young children how she wanted to kill herself when her sister died.
No.
They're like, okay.
One of the kids is 5?
5, 10, and 11.
And then eventually your 5-year-old, she kept going on and on. Eventually the little one goes, I don't understand what you're saying. You're old.
I don't understand what you're saying. You're old.
Eventually that's what she said.
Yeah, my 5-year-old said that.
Yeah,
I don't
and-
understand what you're saying. You're old.
I love.
Oh my
I love
God.
it. She has a thick Asian accent.
My
it's just
father's
a
always
particular
talking
speech
about
impediment.
killing him. I can't even deal with it at this age. You know,
Yeah.
I can't imagine young kids like,
my God.
like, hello, yes, I feel like killing myself, and I'm like, let's talk about.
Well, you know they have these suicide hotlines. They should have a lot of suicide prevention hotlines. Suicide hotline, what are you thinking? I don't know. Can I hang myself? I would not. Drink bleach. Thanks for calling.
But I mean, we all have tough dads, right?
I do.
Yeah. Although mine now is much better.
Is he?
My relationship with my father now is pretty great. But he was like, and it's funny because my friends like Rob loves my dad so much.
Oh my God,
But
Rob
it's
Rob wants to go on like a road trip with my dad.
but it's like, he's funny now.
Yeah.
He wasn't funny in 1975 when he'd pick you up by your neck.
I did that game too. I was always picked up by my neck against the wall every day.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's fun if you're not your dad.
My dad yelled at my brother once with such just psychic violence that my brother wet himself.
Aw.
Yeah, it's just like, it was, funny now.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's like, sure, now he's funny.
I know. Rob's
It's like
always
the old lion. Like
Rob-
Scar from the Lion King.
Rob loves him. I think it's different when it's not your dad. My dad's a delight if he's not your dad.
Yeah, probably. That's probably true. But I just don't want to be that weirdo to my kids.
You're never going to be that guy.
My mother came up to me. I'm just sitting at my house working, and my mother comes up to me and she goes, Dana, at the Walmart, they have macaroni and cheese by Kraft.
That is good macaroni and cheese, to be fair.
Like, Mom, I just came.
That is good mac and cheese.
I just jizzed all over my own balls when you said that.
Well, your dick is the size of like a tuna can, so it just sort of like rolls over like hot lava.
It's the mass of a normal dick, but it's just compressed into a puck-like substance.
That's why they called you Chold Gould.
My dick was the model for the troll family in Frozen. You've never seen Frozen because you don't have children. I've seen it 11 times.
And also, all I hear about is Frozen.
I know.
It's huge,
Have
and
you
you
seen
can
Frozen?
No.
and you can drive a truck through the holes in that plot.
Is that right?
Yep.
All I hear about is Frozen this and Frozen that and Frozen peas and Frozen.
Well, you're a child molester and you're hanging out with children.
just got to say that it'd be funny if the only thing
Whatever
that
gets him into the van, Eddie.
Would the only thing that makes it into Data's podcast is that little chunk
on his dick. On his dick.
And we listen for us, and all we hear is that little chunk on Data's.
That's all. 2 hours, and it's just.
And then maybe him just repeating what he said on Jonah's podcast without any of the explanation of him trying to apologize, but just that on loop over and over.
He's gone completely insane.
He's just jerking it and thinking about how he's offending the transgender community.
Yes. The bar changes all the time. And at a certain point, like the Huckleberry Finn thing is like, no, you can't touch that.
Right.
That's a classic piece of American literature. And to the people who are the PC police on that, normally I tend to side with whatever is the more progressive stance. Mm-hmm. But them, I'm like, you're full of shit. It's just like you really do. You find yourself coming down against the PC campus. Like, fuck you. Right. You're completely wrong.
This has been the Dana Gould Hour, brought to you by the Internet. Music by Andy Paley, with Jake Posner behind the board. Produced by Jeff Fox. Graphic design and web production by Spencer Hunt and Segan Friend. Sound editing and post-production by Jalinda Palmer and Joe Napolitano. Hey, if you like the show, why don't you drop us a line at show@danagould.com. Tom Kenny speaking.
I don't want people going, I think Dana Gould peed in the kitchen.